Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Coach's Corner program. I'm your host, Bob McKee, and we visit today with Matt Taylor, the head football coach of the Boilermakers. And, Coach, good to see you as always.
Thanks for having me again. Good to see you as well, Bob.
Well, thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. And, Coach, a road trip down to Monmouth, Roseville last Friday. This one ends up being a close one on the scoreboard, but unfortunately the Boilers just a hair short. If you would please take us out on the field, how did this one unfold from your perspective?
Well, looking at Monmouth Roseville, we had them assessed properly in regards to the amount of running that they do, and ultimately, statistically, they didn't complete a pass, even though they tried 3 of them, which is similar to what they did the first 2 games. But they ended up tallying up, almost 360 yards worth of rushing offense. That combated with our approximately 360 yards, both rushing and passing. As you said, brought it into a pretty tight game, and unfortunately we lost 24-21. But the most important thing is the resilience of the kids. They went down 14-0 pretty early, and then we are obviously able to take the halftime lead at 21-17, and then we were unable to score in the third or fourth quarter, and they pushed one in with about 4.5 minutes ish left. And we were unable to go down and score to get on top again. So that was the basic rundown of what went on. It was a good, hard-fought, clean game. Their coach, Jeremy Adolphson, was very complimentary. Told us, and it's easy to be complimentary when you win, but he said we were tough as nails, which is always a nice compliment. However, the most important thing is when you walk away from that, we didn't get it done. And depending on what your questions are, I'll just say this as the head coach: that's in those types of games, that's my responsibility. And unfortunately, I do feel that we, and when I say we, that's me am responsible for the coaches, that we didn't get it done. And I think there's some things we coaches can learn from as well. So.
Coach, you mentioned to us last week as you took a look ahead at that game that they ran a lot of the wing tee, a lot of the power running game. And, again, unfortunately coming up just a bit short on the board, but it's got to show your players that, hey, look, we run into another type of offense like this. We think we can handle that one.
Yeah, I think, and I will tell you, though, if we give 350 yards up to the, next offense that runs that, it's going to be, unfortunately, that's similar. So what we need to do is we need to, cut that down. And if a team's going to run all day, you definitely want to be under, at 250 max, and we got to get some stops. And what it turned into is previous week against Riverdale, and then Monmouth Roseville, it just turned into long, sustained drives. And it's 10 yards to get a first down. And so what Monmouth Roseville did often, they never punted, just so you know, and that's not a good thing for your defense.
Oh.
But 3 times 4, it's 4 plays is 12 yards, which means that's a first down every 4 plays, and that was their recipe. And we, unfortunately, at times we did stop them a couple times on 4th down, but we needed to do it more. And so I am excited that visually, our players, and Princeton runs a little bit similar type stuff. I mean, at least they've seen it in different versions the last 2 weeks, and they better get ready, and they got to come up and play the run heavy and be hard against the run against Princeton this next week.
Well, that'll be a big one, no question about it. We'll touch on that again here in just a moment. But, Coach, you mentioned that your Boilers had 300-plus yards in offense, both passing and running. What did you like about your team's effort on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, I think the most glaring change was that we, put up some good passing yards between Brady Schultz, a couple of the running backs, Duarte and Ace LaFollette, and Ben Taylor, and as well as Marquel King had a nice catch for about 50 yards. It was good to see that portion of the game become a little more prolific. That's a big. That's not prolific is not the fact in regards to 170 yards. However, compared to what we did the 2 previous weeks, that was a nice bump up in regards to yardage and effectiveness. And Colson Welgott played a nice game again. He's completing about anywhere between 65 and 70% of his passes, and he's getting some good assistance. The thing that we need to improve there is he's also getting a lot of carries, and those carries are our pass plays to a degree, and he's being forced out of the pocket and making good decisions with the ball there. So that's probably the most glaring thing. The other glaring thing is that, we had our running back Gunnar Salisbury was back, and even though there weren't any carries, as well as Ace LaFollette, Alex Duarte again had another great night on 18 carries, and so moving forward, we're going to have to involve some of the other running backs as well, because that's something that's highlighted. Alex Duarte is bringing a lot of attention. We got to get the ball into some of the other running backs' hands.
I tell you what, Alex, if you're the opponent, kind of hard to overlook him. But like you say, you diversify a little bit. Maybe he's a lead blocker here. Maybe he's a decoy there. So that can really turn things around very quickly.
For sure. And, any of the running backs, quarterbacks, receivers, anytime Alex would be out blocking in front of you, you'd be happy about that situation. So the point is that he brings a lot of attention, and that should help both the passing game as well as some of the other guys as they get involved offensively.
Coach, you mentioned a moment ago you've got Princeton, the Tigers coming into town this Friday night. And, of course, that's the big-time rivalry, as many people know. But more than that, it's going to be Hall of Fame night. There's going to be a lot of festivities. It won't be quite as perhaps full-blown as, say, homecoming will, but very similar with all of the extra, again, festivities and things going on, and so that brings a different level of excitement. Yet for the fellows out on the field, the responsibilities, the goal remains the same. You got to tune that stuff out. It seems like your guys have done a pretty good job of doing that.
Yeah, I'm happy with their, if you will, the protocol and how they're getting ready for the games, and ultimately, how they're performing, and then the resilience they showed last week, and we have a steady improvement from week 1 to week 3, and we're going to have to continue to improve that as well. I don't see them getting too much distracted in regards to the festivities, and then Saturday night here, that'll be a great honor for some of the guys going in. I know a few of them know one of the families and so forth, and one of the sons is playing on our team as well. Coastland Well got some of his uncles and his father being honored, along with some other people. So it's a great thing that the .Cause Hall of Fame does. It's going to be a great night for everybody Saturday as well. Hopefully they're out there Friday, and and we expect to put on a very tough effort, and we're looking to get a win. We gotta win any game we can, and Princeton is one that we would love to win for a variety of reasons. But we want to get to 500, and we want to continue to improve as the season goes on, because the undefeated season's out the window, right? We're in the back seat in regards to the conference is concerned, right? But we still have high aspirations to get to the playoffs and make a little noise, especially if we can continue to develop some of our folks and get better as a team in general.
Coach, a moment ago you mentioned that Princeton has a pretty good running game. They're kind of a solid team in that regard. What else about that club has you concerned?
Well, Princeton, let's be honest, Coach Ryan Pearson has been doing a great job over there. And, technique-wise, they do things correctly. They had some graduates from last year and the year before go to, some Division I programs, and he's doing things correct. The system is there, right? Let's be honest. He is doing a nice job over there, and they consistently put quality product on the field. So there's what concerns me, okay, is anybody that plays them. They have an all-state caliber running back, and their tailback Etheridge. They have a up-and-coming running back who really stepped out and has done a great job. Tough kid, Ace Christensen at wing back, and their fullback is steady, good size, and does a great job. And their quarterback is a junior who's had 2 years now under, and even as a freshman, he got a lot of backup time when they were blowing people out when they had Teagan Davis over there. So, they've got the experience. And then, oh, by the way, they have a Division I commit in Noah Laporte, who's a 6'6" to 6'8" wide receiver. So, I mean, let's be honest, what they have coming back is every skill position starter that they had last year. What they did lose was they lost some upfront D1 linemen, and that's a good thing, for us. But guess what? As I said, their coach is technique-wise it's the next guy up. It happens to every school every year. Seniors leave, and the next people have to step up. And so we're looking at We're looking at a very tough game. We're looking at what I would say, with all due respect to Monmouth Roseville, we are going to be playing the favorite conference champions here with Princeton, and we got to come out and play. And if we play our best game, we got a chance to win this one, and that's how we look at it.
And I'm not sure if I remember this correctly, but it seems like maybe the first week or so, maybe the first 2 weeks of the season, didn't Princeton pound lumps on Sterling Newman?
Yes, I mean they put a pound in the two teams that I got to see. I didn't see the Sterling Newman tape, but I watched them play Rock Ridge, and Rock Ridge scored on Princeton first and was very competitive. The difference between Princeton and Rock Ridge scored 3 touchdowns, missed I think an extra point. Princeton scored 3 touchdowns, but Princeton also had 2 field goals. So that 18-27 was 3 touchdowns by each team and 2 field goals by Princeton. So it was a very competitive game, and and that was Rock Ridge, and Rock Ridge is going to be the favorite to win the conference on their side as well. So Princeton's playing well, and they've played some good competition, and I would say rightfully that we've played now. After our 4th week is done, we will have played some of our toughest competition of the year currently. Every team has a chance to get better by the end of the year, but the encouraging thing is we're improving. We're 1-2, and we've lost 2 games by less than a touchdown. The discouraging thing is that as a coach, those are the games you got to win, and those happen all the time, and we want to be on the correct side of that here shortly, and that would be Friday, obviously, against Princeton.
Coach, do you change a lot up with your battle plan going in, or is it a matter of you continue to bring your package as it is? We'll maybe do a little fine-tuning. Do you change much up for an opponent of this caliber?
Well, I think I don't think we have we don't reinvent the wheel on a week-to-week basis. We're always going to put a little something in there. We call them installs. Everybody has something certain for a team, something either you've watched, you've learned, you've see what we do better. I think reasonably, right? You don't unless you're an overwhelming favorite. You got to do something a little bit different, or because when you just do what you do. There's nothing. You're not making anybody else across the ball from you think any different or perform every different. And with today's day, with scouting reports as well as film, right? If you don't do anything different, then you simply have said, man to man, we are dominant, right? And I say this with all due respect. We are not dominant, over anybody this year yet, and we are not physically dominant over a very quality Princeton team. We can be equal, right? And when it's equal, right, and then you play with momentum, and you play with fire, and you play with aggression, you can overcome some of the dominance that they've displayed, and that's where you go out and find a W. You find a win somehow, some way, by playing your best game and playing tough and doing things right. So there will be a couple little wrinkles here and there, which should put us, what we feel will put us in a favorable position, but we're not going to reinvent the wheel.
Certainly. You mentioned that you've got a couple of guys back from injury, so that's got to be sort of fortifying things. What's the overall mood of your club like?
I think they're disappointed that they didn't, we didn't finish that game out this weekend, but I do know that they feel like they're improving, and I do feel that they know that they can play better, and they're going to have to as the season goes on, if they want to reach some of the goals. But I don't see, it wasn't some huge tongue lashing in regards to their effort, because what they did is what a lot of teams wouldn't do. When you go down 14-0, it could have been ugly, right? Yeah. And what they did is they rallied, behind some big plays. They did some proper things between passing and running the ball, and they got back in the game and were ahead, at the end of the second quarter, all the way through most of the fourth quarter, and that's where the unfortunate thing, and that's where us coaches have to get better, and that's on me as a head coach.
Well, Coach, I tell you what, it should be a great night this coming Friday night. Ladies and gentlemen, Princeton's in town. Of course, a 7 o'clock kickoff. It is Hall of Fame night. It should be a very, very festive evening here in Kewanee on Friday night. Coach, good to see you as always. Matt, best wishes to you and the Boilers on Friday.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Coach. Again, that is Matt Taylor, the head coach of the Kewanee Boilermakers, and that's going to wrap up this edition of the Coach's Corner program.